Hello and welcome back to my audiobook, proudly titled Regiment of the Damned Act 1, Sergeant Brock Johnson Part 6. It's been a wild story so far, and I believe we are just getting started. In this segment we get to hear Commissar Thaddeus interrogate Joel himself. What is he going to do? Who will show up? Is Joel better off outside the walls? Let's find out. So, sit back and relax and enjoy this chapter, titled, Third from the Sun. Chapter 3, Third from the Sun. 6:59 p.m. 13 days ago.
What? Why is everything looking so fuzzy and spinning around?
Joel putting his right hand on the back of his neck and feeling two small tubes in his neck. Moving his hand away fast, then retouching it. A shiver is seen going down his body as he starts to feel the cold room around his body. Looking down and seeing only his underwear on. Looking around and having trouble moving his body, feeling stiff, like he did not move for days. Trying to remember the last thing that happened. Joel moves his left shoulder, and the sounds of popping and cracking are heard in the room.
Well, that's the same still.
Joel opens his underwear looking down.
Oh good, it's still there.
Joel hears a voice from behind his chair and jumping in his seat.
Name, rank, number.
Joel on the screen not talking or moving anymore.
Name, rank, number.
Joel on the screen still not talking or moving.
Name, rank, number.
Thaddeus unclipping the latch to his bolt pistol on his side. Joel looks over his left shoulder as to speak, taking a breath.
I'm Sergeant Joel Bennett, United States Marines Corps number 80085.
Commissar Thaddeus looking at the video recorder to his left shoulder, not saying anything to it, then looking back at Joel.
What are you doing here?
Joel on the screen looking forward and not talking. Thaddeus clenching his left fist with a dry leather glove over it.
Where are my clothes, boots, and suit at?
What are you doing here?
Where are my clothes, boots, and suit at?
Why were you looking for the Orc war boss? How were you able to make Orcs stop in their tracks and not kill you?
Joel moving his neck around, cracking his neck, popping out his chest, cracking his front sternum, and taking a quick breath in and out. Thaddeus walking around from the left side to the front of the table slowly and methodically driving each heel of his boot into the ground, making a wide circle, and continued walking closer to the table, placing both hands directly on the table, meeting eye to eye.
I don't like to be waiting. I want answers now, number 80085.
Pointing a finger at Joel. Joel leaning over to the left looking at the ground, and up towards Commissar Thaddeus, and doing the same thing to the right side. Seeing how one boot is shinier than the other on the toe.
You can just call me Joel Man.
Very well, Joel Man. Why are you here? We have very little time for this back and forth.
Staring directly into the eyes and soul of Joel. A slight smirk appears on Joel's face, and at the same time moving his hand up, waving his right finger in the air.
No, it is just Joel. Why I am here, I do not know yet. As to why I was looking for the Orc war boss, I wanted to tell him something.
Like what?
What I was seeing and saw, as I was coming into your atmosphere, sir.
What did you see?
Joel closing both eyes, taking his left pointing finger and touching the right side of his left eyeball.
Sir, what I am about to tell you, you may find it to be disturbing, illogical, but mostly heresy. I know things that no one knows about. I know things that will put me to the head of the line to be a servitor by the Adeptus Mechanicus, and I know it will not even be something glorious like an ammo loader or a guy with a big heavy bolter mounted to their shoulder. No. With my luck, it would be something dumb like sweeping the floors.
Opening his eyes and removing his finger from his eye, placing both hands directly on top of each other.
Also, if I tell you such things, it is more than likely you are going to get mine wiped or you might just disappear, and that's if we survive this whole ordeal.
Pointing his right hand and all his fingers directly at Commissar Thaddeus.
So, sir, I will tell you everything you want to know. I just need to know, can I get some pants, some food, and something to drink, please? I have been on an exceedingly long journey, and I'm still trying to wrap my mind around it.
Wait here.
Thaddeus leans off the table and walks to the door to open it.
Oh, and to give you some free advice, sir, be careful when you point at someone. Because you have 3 pointed right back at you. My commissar.
Thaddeus looking back over his right shoulder at Joel with a slight overconfident smile.
I'll have to remember that one.
Closing the door behind him. Sounds of talking from outside the room. Few minutes. Thaddeus walks back into the room in front of Joel with his hands and arm crossed over his chest and looking at Joel, then a loud lock.
Your stuff will be here in about 10 minutes. Until then, will you answer some basic questions?
Of course, Commissar, your men did bring me back here to safety. Can we start by me asking, what is on the back of my neck?
That thing on your neck is what we call a blood scriber. It is filtering out all the toxins you are breathing in now. Without it, your body will start to shut down. That is why you passed out. Without it, your blood will start to lose oxygen in it, your lungs would be filled with liquid over the course of 3 days, and you will either die from a heart attack, or you drown in your own lungs filling up with liquid, but the worst part is not any of that. Within 4 hours, all the nerves in your body would feel like they are on fire every time you move. Within 6 hours you will be on the ground twitching so much that most end up tearing their tendons and muscles apart.
Oh shit, how often do you have to change them out?
That depends on the guardsman. They can usually survive without any interference for about a day. That is depending on their size. The bigger the guardsman, the faster it runs out.
Do you have one in the back of your neck too, sir?
I do not have one.
Standing slightly taller out of pride.
Why not?
Thaddeus placing both hands behind his back, taking a step forward with a sharp right turn, walking 5 steps and turning around. Walking back and forth.
Yes, sir, let's see. If I remember correctly, in about 200 standard years from now, give or take, depending on if you lose your way in the warp.
Holding up quoting fingers.
The Imperium will have a new enemy to fight with. An enemy far worse than any.
Counting on his left hand with his right hand, looking up at the light in the room.
Dark Eldar, regular Eldar, Necrons, Orc, which you are currently fighting now, or the Chaos Space Marines in general. Hell, you can even go as far as it is even greater than the Horse Heresy. Right about the time when he killed the poor guardsman. However, saying all that, and not going down a rabbit hole, I do not think you know what the other enemy is doing to the Orcs right now, do you?
Thaddeus walking and pacing back and forth with both hands behind his back, slowly and methodically driving each heel of his boot into the ground. Joel looking at the commissar in front of him, following every step of his movement with his eyes. After about 30 seconds, taking his right hand and moving into a circular forward motion. Thaddeus continued walking and pacing back and forth with both hands behind his back, slowly and methodically driving each heel of his boot into the ground, then stopping in front of Joel, turning his body to face him.
A commissar always knows everything. I know everything about this planet. I know everything what is going on about this planet. Do not ever question me on what I know and do not know.
Sir, I have no intentions of harming you or any other humans on this planet, and I have no intentions to insult the intelligence of a commissar, because I know better than that, good sir. However, a good leader does not tell his troops he does not know. A good leader finds out the correct answer or pretends he knows the correct answer to the questions.
Joel crossing his arms, while intensively looking into the eyes of Thaddeus. Joel took his right hand and rubbed his eyes and the bridge of his nose.
Sir, we both know what the true answer to that question is, so let's not pretend, my commissar.
Joel again pointing his entire right hand at him. Thaddeus' whole body tenses up, feelings of rage and turmoil are felt throughout his entire soul. Thinking that never in his entire career and loyal to the Emperor, and as a commissar, has anyone ever accused him of such heresy. Without hesitation, Thaddeus unholstered his bolt pistol, aiming directly at the head of Joel. Joel slowly places both hands on the table and rises to meet up to his gaze with a slight grunt. Not flinching a muscle, and looking directly into the Commissar's eyes, and seeing nothing but black pupils just like a shark, with a slight baby blue ring around them. Smiling from ear to ear.
I know how bad you want to blow my head off for this line of questioning. Believe me, sir, it will not be the first time, and I bet it will not be the last time either. If you decide to do this, make sure you are adjusted for jerking the trigger. Why waste two when only one round could have done it?
2 loud knocks are heard at the door.
Great, I think our food is here.
Sitting back down in his seat trying to de-escalate what is about to happen. Thaddeus following Joel's movement with his bolt pistol at his head, then slowly putting away his bolt pistol. Come! Before he was able to finish, Private Todd comes in pushing the door with his back and turning around with 2 food trays. Seeing Commissar Thaddeus' last movements of putting away his bolt pistol without it smoking for the first time ever. Not knowing what to do, but stand there and wait first. Joel leans over at his chair seeing Todd.
Oh, hey Todd! Thank you for bringing the food to us.
Seeing Todd's face scared, then looking at Commissar Thaddeus and looking back at Todd and back at Thaddeus.
Private Todd.
Yes, my Commissar.
The 2 trays moving ever so slightly out of fear.
Who is with you right now?
Thaddeus still looking at Joel.
Just me, sir, and only me, my Commissar.
Closing his eyes.
What did you just see, Private Todd?
I just saw you and him, just standing here, my Commissar.
Todd mouthing prayers in the Emperor's name.
Bring the food over here for our guest and bring me the chair outside of this room into here. Then go tell Sergeant Hill to wait for me outside my doors, so we can discuss on when to delegate and when not to delegate. Corporal Todd.
Todd opened his eyes looking around absolute surprise, and with confusion.
Yes, my Commissar.
Moving quickly with the food and getting the chair as ordered to, and turning around before closing the door.
Good evening, my Commissar.
Good evening, Corporal Todd. One more thing. Find out what is taking so long to get our guest stuff back here in this room. Report back to me as to why and remember to knock and wait for 15 seconds before coming in.
Looking over his left shoulder.
Do you understand, Corporal?
Yes, my Commissar.
Standing tall at the door, closing it and locking it. Joel yelling out.
Congratulations, Corporal Todd.
Waving his right arm in the air to the locked door back and forth. Looking over at Thaddeus.
Todd's a good kid. I bet his father is proud of him. I think he will be a good commissar one day, assuming that can even happen that way. I really do not know how that part works out.
Thaddeus giving a weird look at Joel.
Anyways, can we keep it small talk until I get my pants on, please? Nothing personal, it is just business where I come from.
Grabbing his fork and food.
So, Commissar, we have not been properly introduced yet. You know my name. What is yours?
My name is Commissar Thaddeus. I oversee this outpost. My assignment is to keep this relay station running no matter what.
Joel looking around the room.
Would it be safe to assuming that this relay station is like a radio to communicate to other planets in the Imperium? Yes, that is correct, and I would appreciate it if you added Commissar or Sir to everything you say.
Placing both hands directly on the table, leaning over to make a shadow over Joel's food.
As you say, it's just business where I come from. I will not have disrespect or even a rumor of leniency from anyone. Do you understand me?
Joel leaning back and looking up at Commissar Thaddeus, giving ever so slight of a bow towards Thaddeus. Taking his right hand and pointing it to the chair across from him. With a smile on his face.
No problem, my Commissar. Now please, my Commissar. Take a seat so we may enjoy this buffet of appreciativeness and transparency between one another. Please, my Commissar.
Commissar Thaddeus pulls the chair and sits, and grabs his food, making sure his plate is squared and center in front of him. Then taking both hands to taking his hat off and placing it next to his tray of food, and then adjusting the hilt of his power sword. Looking back up at Joel, he sees him with both of his hands together, like he is waiting for something else to happen.
What are you waiting for? Go ahead and eat your food.
I am sorry, sir, it is just that I have not had a normal evening like this in a long time. I just appreciate everything that you have given me so far, sir.
Joel picking up his fork and knife again. Looking at his food, he sees a steak and mashed potatoes with some brown gravy on top. Looking at his cup, he sees a clear liquid in it, with exceedingly small bubbles coming up every minute or so, reminding him of soda back home.
You are welcome, Joel. My men may have gotten you here, but you don't realize how many men you saved on this planet just by showing up in your pod.
Grabbing his fork and knife. Joel looking confused.
What do you mean, sir?
Thaddeus leans over to the right looking at Joel's legs and leaning back into the seat and looking Joel dead in the eyes.
Are your pants on yet?
Joel smiling, grabbing his fork with his right hand.
No, sir, they are not.
The food we are about to eat is exceedingly rare, Joel. This steak came all the way from Terra herself.
Cutting a piece off and examining it with his eyes.
Do you know where Terra is at?
Would you believe me if I told you? I know where it's at and what planets are next to it.
Taking a fork load of mashed potatoes and dipping it into the brown gravy.
Go ahead, amuse me.
Thinking he has not had this much fun since he first got to Plexen 6 months ago.
Well, sir, I can't give you the exact coordinates, but I can tell you this.
Taking a bite of the mashed potatoes and gravy, closing his eyes to save the flavor. Thinking how wonderful it is to eat something solid that did not come out of a foil package.
Terra, as you call her, I call her only plain old Earth. She is the third planet from the Sun, and the fourth planet would be Mars. The first planet would be Mercury, followed by Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and the last one being planet Pluto. These planets are in the Milky Way galaxy. Now, there is an asteroid belt that divides Mars and Jupiter. We call that difference between the inner and outer solar system.
Do you know where you are right now, or at least a general area of star system?
Well, sir, I may, if you tell me the location of Tyran Primus. I may be able to point out a general area of where I am at right now.
2 loud knocks are heard at the door. Who could it be? Thanks you for listening to part 6 of my audiobook. What secrets does Joel have with the Orcs? How come the Orcs didn't kill him? How is Joel able to know what a commissar is? And most importantly, will he get his pants and boots? Why is the newly promoted Corporal Todd so scared of seeing Commissar Thaddeus Bolt Pistol not smoking for the first time? Stay tuned for the next part called Round 2, Part 2.